All right. That has been done. So this is Webflow. I don't normally use Webflow, but let me just open the interface of Webflow in case you want to build with it. You get, but we are not building with Webflow. I don't want to show you. For you to see the similarities of the structure of websites, that means that if you understand what you are doing in this cohort, then you can use any of them. So let me also log into my framework while this is also loading. So we want to compare Elementor, you compare Webflow, you compare framework. These are like the major tools for building websites, no code. But then with the knowledge of these guys, you can actually build with coding. Okay. All right. So remember when we were in Elementor, we saw how we put in images and the rest. So this is the same thing as in Webflow. We're not learning Webflow, but if you look at the interface, you see that some things are similar. Do you get? The interface is similar. The only thing is that you just have to understand how each of the platform works. In Elementor, responsiveness was in the middle, while in Webflow, the responsive screens is by the side. Can you see? You see, as I'm clicking on it, it adapts automatically. And then for you to put in your elements, you just have to come here. And then remember when we put in a section in Elementor yesterday, sorry, on our last class, that should be Tuesday. We put in a container. Over here in Webflow, it has the same thing. Look at it, it has a container and has a section. So the thing is, they may have some different similarities on the interface or how they work, but trust me, if you just know, look at their listing, this is their widgets, look at the image widgets. You see, their form widgets and image widgets. These are the same things that we saw in Elementor on Tuesday. Now, the same thing, let me show you Framer. So the same thing here with Framer. What is it now? Okay. Now, if you look at Framer, I think Framer is more flexible. I will not say flexible, sorry, all of them are flexible. You just have to know how they work. But Framer is mostly used just like WordPress recently. Yeah, that's what they have seen. So if you look at Framer, now if you want to, this is a normal like landing page done with Framer, as you can see here, with different screen breakpoints. Though I'm not done with the entire design. It was a project I was doing some time ago, and they not did that last point because it was developed live. So the point is, you want to add a new, let's say, let's just do a new breakpoint. But normally, they normally have 3 breakpoints, just like in Elementor. Okay, desktop, tablets, and phone. But if you look at it, let's say you want to add a new image, a new stuff, everything is just by the left here. The same thing is applicable to even layouts. You want to put in Elementor, sorry, in Framer, that thing that we call container is called a frame. Okay, so if I should add in a frame, this is not an Elementor. This is not a Framer class, but it's almost the same thing now. A frame is basically like saying a layout or like a section. Okay, so but they have the same structure. You can put in your image. You can, the way you saw layer components in Figma, you also saw it in Elementor. That's the same thing over here. So On this other side, you still have those elements. For example, now you want to change the color of this frame. Let's say this is your section, but you're going to give it a size, or you give it a height and width. Height and width. You can change the color. Very flexible. So any tool you want to use, but if you understand the foundation, like I said in this course from the start, if you can understand the foundation, then this interface is just what you have to learn in any other tool you want to use. So that being said, I'm going to return back to Elementor, and then so we are going to start with duplicating the hero section of our reference websites, which is Renest. Let me show you guys again. So this is the Renest website. I think we did this, we used this to do the hero section in our wireframe class. Yeah. So we are going to see how we can achieve this section. All right. And for those of us that did the assignment on wireframe, you're yet to submit. So you can ask me any question as well if you had any challenge during your practice. Okay. So let us, before we even start to build it, let us have a reference of how it will be like. So this is the hero section. This is the header, right? And then this header, we're not going to work on the header now because we're going to build the header differently. But the main thing is this section that holds this text and this background. And remember that this is a plain background. And then this image and this, though we will not be able to have this animation because this was actually developed in. You get, so if you have an animation somewhere, you can bring it as a background. So, but we can have the image. I'll try and get I have the image for it. I downloaded the resources for this. Then we now have everything is cascading downwards, as you can see. So let's just do that quickly. So this is the container. Let me just delete it and put another one. So click on your plus button, or better still, come to your layouts where you have layouts, drag and put your container. Okay, your container is where you're going to put everything that you want to hold in that section. Then the next thing is for us to understand the layout. Okay, so we have basic layout, very important. So we have the flexbox and we have the grid. So flexbox is basically, before now, Elementor used to have, there's how they used to call it, columns and the rest. So flexbox is like saying you are now free to put things in this particular box, which is this container, the way you want. Meanwhile, grid is that, let me click on grid for you to see. Grid automatically has some box elements. We are going to work on grid. There's a section that has grid, which I'm going to teach you later. But let us use flexbox. Flexbox is the default and the best approach to use when you're building with Elementor. Okay. And then that's the container layout. Then the contents width. So we have two types of width. We have the boxed and the full width. Now let me duplicate this and show you. The first one is going to be boxed. Then the second one, I'll make it full width and give it a color. So I'll just give it a color red. Then I'll put in a text. Observe where the text is going to start. Okay, let me give this section a little height so that you can see what I'm doing very well. So we'll talk about height, but for now, let's just understand the full width and the box. Then we'll give this one a different color. Let's just do black. Okay, I'll copy this text and paste here. And then also give that section a height. Just a random height for now. Now, when I expand this, Expanding is like saying I want to close this panel so that I can see what I'm doing. So when I close my panel, have you observed that this one, let me write it here already. So this is boxed. The boxed layout, you see the way this thing starts. The text that I put starts somewhere, but on the full width, the text starts from the edge, from beginning of that particular layout. Why is that so? The box, once you use a box on your width, content width, you're trying to say that every content that I'm going to put should have this particular, it should not pass this particular size. That means it is boxed inside that particular size. As simple as that. Okay. So the default size is 1140. Look at it here by Elementor. This is the default size 1140. Even if I clear it, it will still show. This is the default size by Elementor. So you can go with that, but as you start working on different projects, like me now, sometimes I use 1350 for a wider this thing, a wider box gap. But I'll not advise you for now until you know what you're doing. At least know the rules before you break it. So 1140 is the default width. Okay, and then you see that your element will follow that route. Now let me show you an example. Let me show you an example. Normally, so even this header should have the same width and this content. But follow me closely. You see where this content stopped. Even though this one is a centered content, it's logos. But let me start from this guy. You see where this logo, this USD button or whatever it is, you see where it stops. Now, if I scroll down, observe that. Let me keep my mouse here. Observe that other content will stop almost in that same, or sorry, they'll start in that same place. Look at, can you see? They are starting in that same line. This one to start in that same line. The same thing as this, the H here on the left. The contents are ending in the same place. That is the beauty of a boxed layout. Do you understand? So you don't have to bother about things going outside the layout or going too wide. But with this now, you see that the elements that is, except for the one that are full width, the element that has box is aligned already. You get everything starts here and ends here. So if I scroll down, every element that has a box container is going to have, it will not pass, even this one service, it will not pass that particular width. Do you understand? So these other sections these ones are like full width section. You see the layout is different. The layout is not like edge to edge, but anyone that is like an edge to edge kind of stuff, like this one now, starts here and then the design ends here. They have a particular width for it, which is the beauty of what I just explained about using box. Then where you use full width is when you want to achieve a section like this hero section now. This hero section is still box. So let me check for a full width. That hero section, you can use box, you can use full width, but I want to show you a full width section. This can be a full width, yes. This can be a full width, but it has not really shown me what I want you to see. This is box, this is box. Now let me use this section to explain full width. Now notice how this background expands from the edge to edge. Though this can be achieved in box anyways, but the thing is that in full width, the layout, that particular container layout expands through the beginning to the end. Do you understand? It is now you that will now use the inner contents to give its size. Like now, the designer can give this particular content here a different width, and then coming down, you now gives it a different. You see that the full width is more flexible for you to use depending on the creativity you want to use. Do you understand? But then I think I have, let me check for a project that has a full width example the way I want to explain. Do you understand? That's one example, but let me show another example. This one is my own project. So I think I have a full width section somewhere here. Mm. Okay. So now this is a full width. Okay. So this section now, I put a video in the background, and then in the middle, I now put in my elements and then center them. This is how full width works. Do you get? As very simple as that. So, but you're going to understand it better when we are practical, when we are doing it in practice. So, do you have any questions? I'm coming back to our class. Any questions? Okay. So that's how full width works. Like I said, you're going to understand it much better. Give me a second. Okay. So that's the difference between that. So let us, I'm going to close this guy and then come back to this place. Then the next thing is the height. After the width is the height. So for the height, when once you're doing the hero section, most times your height is going to be VH. So we have different um, measurements here. So if you see this drop down, we have VH, we have EM, we have REM, we have pixels. When once you're doing the hero section, you're likely going to use the VH. The VH means view height. That means that first full screen that shows when once you open the website. Okay, that first full screen that it takes from the beginning of the screen to the end, and you can see. So a real life example is this project. Okay, I closed the other one. Let me go to the Euro section so I can show you very well. Now, immediately I open this website. This hero section now, you see, it takes the entire width and even the entire height of my screen. So until when I now scroll, I can now see something else. So this first part, this full screen, this entire screen that it takes is the view height. So this is the view height calculation of my screen. This is 100% view height. So that's how that works. So your hero section is like trying to get people's attention. So you try to at least take the first portion of your screen before they scroll. All right. So in view height is always calculated in 1 to 100. So as you can see, as I'm expanding it, it's going long. Okay. So that is how it works for hero section. But for other sections, you might not need this. For other sections, you're going to use your padding to give it height. You get. So for other sections, because other sections, there are some sections that are very short. So those ones don't need the calculation of view height. Am I making sense? Like this section now, this one is even use. I think this one is longer than 100% view height because it starts from here. And then if I scroll, that one will disappear before I announce the end of that section. So you see, another one is this place. Let me show you. Even this one. So you can't use view height in this kind of place. As you can see, it doesn't take the full height of my screen. Other things are showing. There is even a gap below. There is a gap below, as you can see. So these ones you use padding to give it the gap, the height gap, and that's the best practice because padding is going to give it space. Okay, so for your hero section, you can always use 100%. For me, I use 100% so that to take the entire screen. As you can see, this black has taken the entire screen. So, and that's the beauty. Then the direction, we spoke about this during our wireframe, horizontal and vertical. So from the project that you are looking at, its vertical direction, obviously. Then justify content to the center. We want our things to be at the center. Please always let me zoom in. Okay. Except maybe you want to start at the top, they can now use start, then you see the element to jump to the start. If we use center, so this thing I'm telling you applies to any other framework. So if you have an idea, you're going to understand what I'm, you know better what I'm also saying. Align items to the center. So you see, it takes those items to the center automatically. Like I said, the container is always what the parent element. You see the way it's controlling the things inside. It can control it and say start from this place, and you see it jumps and starts because it is the parent element here. And then gap, the default is 20, you can leave it there. Okay, so this is how you set up your layout. Okay, the width, this one we want to put the width once, you don't have to put again. But the things you're going to be coming back often is always the height, direction, the contents, justification, the align item, and the gaps. So 20 is the default and it's okay. You can always increase it. All right, so that is it. Then the next thing in this tab is the style. So let's say you want to style this container. The background color is going to be, okay, we have background type. Let me start from here. The background type is where you put in the color. Like this one is just one color. Classic means one color. If I change it to this, to red, it will show, as you can see. The gradient is when you want to mix two colors. So I can say the first one should be this, and then the down one should be black. See the way it's fitting. So I don't know what color that they use here. We can use a plugin. So we can use a Chrome extension to copy that color, but I would like us to use our own color. Or should we use their own color? Should we use their own color? Should we come up with our own color? What do you suggest?
Let's use their color.
Okay. So if we are using their color, so let me check for that extension. Let me share this tab. So the extension you can use is color by Frados. So you should just, it will automatically check the colors in that particular website, and then you just have to select it. Mm. Okay, I'm not sharing my full screen. Okay, sorry. But it's very easy. Just search colors by Frados on your Chrome extension and install it. It's very easy to use anyways. So I just copied the color code, one of the color codes that I have found on the site. And let me just bring in another one. So as I'm bringing in, I'm going to save this color because I want to use it again, right? So what I can do is I'll click on, oh, sorry, I was not showing this tab. So I just came here and pasted the color code. This is where you paste color codes. You can use any color code. You can even get color code from CorelDRAW, Figma, or anywhere. And then paste it here. Okay. So for me to reuse this color code or this color, I will just click on this plus icon and then I can give it a name. I can call it primary or anything you want to call it to remember. Please note that the exact same color exists. Primary one, let me give it a name. So I'll create it and then I'll now bring in the second color. Let's say we want to do a gradient, right? So we can do a gradient using the same color, but the darker shade of it. So I'll click on it. You see primary one is here under this globe icon. So I'll just click on it and just give it a little down shape of that same color. All right. So that is how you style color. Then if you want to bring in a video, you can bring it from YouTube and paste the link here. Let me zoom in. Paste the link here. All right. Or better still, you can upload it on your drive, sorry, on your WordPress media and then copy the link and paste here. So for example, let me show you how that works. So if I go to my media and then I upload a video, it will show here. Okay. So let's say this is a video, though it is an image, but we want to upload a video to show here. And then you see this place that says copy URL to clipboard. So this is where you copy your link. This is the link, so you can select all and copy or just click on this guy. So now we want to copy that link, just bring it to this place and paste it, and then it will automatically start playing. So that is how it works. The video fallback is, let's say network is loading slow. There should be something that shows an image that replaces that video while it's loading. Okay. So that's how it works. So play on mobile, always toggle this on so that it will also play on the mobile responsiveness. Okay, so the last one is slideshow. These are like different types of background styles you can use. So slideshow is having different images sliding on their own. So you just select. Let me just see if I can bring more than one image to this, so you can see how it works. So I'm going to delete them, Sha. So these are the two images I've selected, and then I'll come here and create new gallery over here. Okay, and then insert gallery. So you notice that they will start changing on their own. So what you can now do is just to, this one is just to play around. There's no rule over here. There is no rule on, it's just your own creativity. But just you can do, but the basic thing is that always try to make sure that your background position is center, and then background size is cover, because it will, let me show you how it's, if you don't do cover, you see things like, if you do auto, this is how it will be like. If you do the default, this is how it will be like. All right, but if you do cover, it will try to fit into that particular section. Then lazy load, it's not really compulsory to put it on, but it will help. It's very important actually, Sha, so that it means that it will not load immediately your site is loading. Okay, so this lazy load is basically better if it is the section is down below, but if it's the hero section, I'll not really want to put on the lazy load, so that as the site is loading, let the images also load at once. You get, but lazy load in sections below is very important, because that means that when the site is loading, these images will not also load automatically. Okay, it will just give it a few seconds before they start loading. So that means that your site speed is going to be faster, because if everything on your site loads the same time, your site is going to be slow. That is the function of lazy load, to make sure that things load small instead of trying to load everything at the same time. Okay, so that means if it is below, before your user is going to scroll down to that section, it has finished loading. So that's just the secret there. Then Ken bond is just to give it this effect, that little effect of zooming in during transition. So it gives it a better feeling. Direction, you can change it to out. So like I said, it's just your own creativity. There is no rule, or just know what works for a particular brand. That's one thing. So you see that these images are too sharp that we can't even see our text again. That is where background overlay comes in. Okay, so click on background overlay. If you're doing a slideshow or you're doing a video, always have a background overlay, except the video is already faded already, but given a background overlay like this, given a background overlay like this, hold on. Given a background overlay like this, is going to, you see, help you have control over the text. And then we spoke about contrast. So this is how you control your contrast. So if I increase the opacity of the background overlay, you see that the elements goes fades, right? And then we can see the text very well. Obviously, this text should be white. Okay, so that is about for our own listing. We are going to be using the color. We are not using background slideshows. I'll delete this. I'll just try to show you. I'll clear this. And then come back to our background. Sorry, we use gradients. Sorry, gradients. Yep, we use gradients. So as I was explaining gradients, you put in your first color and then your second color. Now you can choose how you want. Let me make it to be very bright so you can see what I'm doing. You can choose how you want the location of this color. As I'm doing it, you see that the first color is taking over the location of the second one. You see? Then the location of the second one, you can also work on it. You see, as I'm taking it backward, it's taking over that of the first one, it's pushing it. So you just have to be creative. But the beauty about anything graded is that there has to be a smooth transition that nobody has to see when you've moved from point A to point B. That is it. So I'm going to make this to be like this. So this other location should be like, no, wait. Let me bring this up. Okay, so now look at something. Notice something in this gradient. We have location and we have angle. Depending on how you want to style your own background, you can choose to give it any angle of your choice. Okay, so you can choose, like most times I like using the angle of this guy, the bright side starting here, like it should be like a sun. Let me show you what I mean. You see, to be like a sun that is coming in like this and then fades in. So the reason why this background, you observe this background is kind of fading in very harsh. Observe this place is because of first of the color. So you see, we are now giving it a better color. The color that match, that's the color that we used that time. Look at it in this primary one color. You see that it tries to blend in better. That is the essence of that is the beauty of gradients. So you need to work with color that makes it to match, because if people notice when it has fade from point A to point B, like making it to be very obvious, then there is no beauty in your gradient. Let them just see that there is a color and then there's a very smooth transition. Let me check some. Hold on. Let me come to the live call screen. Those of you guys can hear me.
Hearing you.
Okay. All right. So this is what I mean from here to here. This is what I'm talking about. So let me just save it. Please confirm from your screen. Is there any different line here? Sorry, is there any line here? Is there any line here? And is there like different lines here? Confirm from your screen.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. I think it's from my system settings. Hold on, let me check something. HDR. Okay, so I'm using HDR mode, so it has a way of working with contrast on my colors. So you actually see what I'm seeing is not actually what you're going to actually see. That is why. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm coming back to the screen now. So so confirm if it's still showing. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Confirm if those lines are still showing on my screen.
Okay, I can't see it anymore.
Okay. All right. So this is how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very smooth. So the reason it's showing is because of I did some screen settings on my PC. So when there's a high resolution stuff like that, it tries to do one or two things. So that one is from my system, not from you guys or from Elementor. Okay. Just that stuff is to consume battery. All right. So where was I? All right. So I was trying to explain the beauty of gradients, that moving from one point to another is that transition is the beauty of gradient, and you can change it to any angle the way you want, make it to be brighter, just the way you want it actually. So that's it for gradients. So back to what you're doing, let us have a look at the advanced tab. So we look at the layout tab, the basic things. I just hope it was not complex. The basic things, these ones are just very simple things, you see, and then background, and now the advanced. So I had to zoom in so you can see very well. So we spoke about margin during our wireframe class. So this is the same thing here. So I'll just always unlink this to the 0. As a matter of fact, to make it more easier, always come to this place, set settings to load. This way you can make things much easier for you. If you go to layout, container padding, the default should be 0. Except maybe you're working on a project that you know that's the padding. Like for example now, most times the padding that I want on my layer should always be default at least 100 top padding. Sorry, let me unlink it first. The top should be 100 and the bottom should be 100 minimum. Then I can now do it here and then save it. So that means every new padding that I add, it will always have a minimum of 100 at the top and 100 below. Okay, but for this class, let us just leave that 0 first. We want to understand why what I'm doing, then you can now come and do it the way you want over here. But on linking it like this will save you time, because every time you add a padding in Elementor, by default it will add a default padding to you for you. So you have to always unlink it. So but if you come and put everything 0 0 here, it will unlink it automatically for you. And those will be understood. Even the content width, you can put that width that I explained earlier. You can put the one that you want, and then every new section is going to carry that. It will obey that authority. So margin 0, padding 0. So align self, that is content. Most time you don't have to really use this, but if you need to use it, I'll show you when. Order, this one is if it is like two container. Well, this is advanced tab. So once we have a need for the advanced element, advanced tab will come to it. Because if I explain it now, it will not make sense. If you have two div in this container and you want to change the position of those divs inside this parent container, just click on the any of this order, either end of that, and they will move. So as we are working, that is when you are going to know it. Okay, all right. So now let us now continue our building. So we have a text here. So I'm going to go and copy that text. That is from the websites. There is a lot to learn in this trouble. Thank God. Let me show you guys something. Okay. Let me show you something. If you look at this font, most times the fonts that you see on the website might not be what you're going to have, like the default fonts that you have in your Elementor or when you're building. Like this font, it might not actually be there. So what you have to do is that you have to install your own font. Okay, you have to bring it in. Okay, and so just in case you see any font that is fine and then you wonder how they achieve it in that site, just know that they had to import that font into their projects. So let us now work with it in our own real life projects here. So, oh, first off, this background is not complete though. Sorry, this background is not complete. So I'll come back to my style and then bring in the background, the second background, that is that globe stuff. So I'll go to style. I'm using background overlay this time. You can use this background to put in the globe, right? That I'm going to bring in. They now use the background overlay to fade it. Now it's creativity. Just follow me. All right. It's just creativity. You can choose anyone, but the best one I'm going to recommend is that you bring in the main background. For example, let me bring it in. Where is it? Oh God, oh, I'll see it. I downloaded those projects files. Just give me a second. Okay. Just a minute. I've seen it, so I'm trying to fetch it with the second one. So I'll be bringing in a few images here. So let's just save time. All right, so it's coming in. I think it's taking time to load. Maybe the file size are big. I should have. I should have confirmed that. All right. So these are SVG. I'm going to show you guys how to bring in SVG. These are SVG files. WordPress Elementor does not support SVG that much, so you have to look the regions way around it. It's very simple to bring your SVG files. Okay, so just give me a moment, please. Okay, so the files I downloaded, I've just has been imported to our dashboard. Okay, so the sizes are not big, 44 KB, 95 KB. Okay, so just hold on. This one might be a little bit, maybe it's network. All right, so and those of you guys are following me, Sha. This is because you are doing a live class. There is no editing, so there'll be some delays, obviously. So this is the background. I'm going to select it, and then remember that this background can be it was moving in their own ends. Yes, because it's an animation, but I had to bring it as an image. You get. Yep. So most times people do motion designs and then bring it as a background to their project. Now, observe very closely what I'm going to do now. Let me zoom in. Like I said, first thing, I'm going to remove this thing called this color here. If you want to remove a color, just click on it and click on this button, this clear. It will clear it. Fine. Now, what you are having now as this background is what is in this gradient. Let me see. Oops, sorry. The reason that is entering this background. Let me see. Okay. Okay. The background overlay. Okay, so what you're seeing that is fading this image is the background overlay. So if I click on it and clear it, you see that this image is going to be bright, as you can see now. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now use this background overlay to now do that gradient that we did in the background earlier. Remember that we did background here. I showed you guys how to use gradients here. Okay. But now I don't want to use gradients in that place. This one was just to show you how to use gradients, how to use video, how to use slideshow. All right. So the main thing is that try to make sure that your image is the main background. Then use background overlay, like the name says. Overlay is like saying something that will cover this guy. So I'll now use this overlay to now fade in. So the bottom part I'll use, remember we saved that color. So I'll go to my custom global color, just this globe icon, click on it, and to bring out the color that you saved. If you want to save mode or edit mode, just click on these settings and then you see manage mode global colors. Then you can delete these default ones and then bring in your own and name them the way you want. Primary, you see, then the color top, the one at the top is black. So I can click on it and still bring that primary and then give it a darker shade. Then I want the one below to have more depth. Okay, so something like this should be fine. So when it comes to creativity, like I said, there is no rule. It's based on, but at least know the basics, know the foundation. When I say no rule, it doesn't mean that you should go and do what is not nice. So you see how I took time. So please take time to do your work. If it is a real client's project, I'll give more attention than this. I'm trying to just show you how it works. So I'm giving it a color under style, text color, give it a color. Alignment is centered already, but you can always keep that centered so that to be on the safe side. Now, typography is where you now style this text the way you want. So we have font family. So I'll click on the font family and there is a lot of fonts here. Like I said, if you don't see a font that is not in this default font, most times it could be that the person imported the font. Maybe in the next class, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's not here that you import font. You import font in the WordPress dashboard. Okay. So for this one, we can use Sora. Sora is one nice Google font. Okay. Then increase the size. Notice that as I'm increasing the size, it is breaking. Okay. I'll show you guys how to do text breaking very well. 71 is fine. Then the weight is bold. I want to use bold, not like it's compulsory. So most times you can collapse this to be seeing what you're doing. And I just collapse this stuff now. I just saw a mistake, which is what this background is duplicating itself. So how do we fix that? It's very simple. Just go to the background image where we put this background, as you can see here. Position, that's like I told you earlier, center. Display size should be cover, except you want to probably do something else, like maybe you want to, not like you're limited to always use cover, but I mean, I want this thing to fill this section. I normally use cover if I want it to fill that section like this. Yes, so that is it. But if you want to use content to give you a different option, you see, it's now duplicating itself. So now I want to show you guys something. When once you do position, let me zoom in. Position means that you want to keep it in different place. Note that center is one of my default positioning, but there are times I use top center. That means this element is going to stay at the top center of this div. Yes, there are times I do that. So I have to come back to explain so that you will not think that center is the best. It all depends on what you want to achieve, right? Bottom left, it will move. But for this particular design, I want to be in the center and the center of that div. Okay. Attachments, leave it as default. Fix is if you want it to, like, it will be staying, the background will stay in one place. Then if you scroll, only the elements on that div that will scroll, like what you're seeing now. But if we use scroll, you see that to move, the scroll is going to move in the background. Let me not confuse you. I'll just leave it at default. I'm going to use a section to explain this place very well. So then repeat, very important, no repeats. So when once you do no repeats, these two guys that are duplicating their self will not show anymore. Repeats, no repeats, it will disappear. You see? So now that it has disappeared, notice something. The background now is now like empty. Do you get? So let me publish this. So I'll show you guys something. So what you're now seeing now is the nakedness of this element. It's like saying that there is nothing here. Do you understand? Because this background that we brought in, this particular background, remember, this is a background on its own. This background is not that big to take the width of this section from left to right. So that is why you're seeing this guy like this. Oh, I don't know if you understand. So if it was a PNG, if this globe was just a globe on its own, then it will not be showing like this. So what I will do is I will do cover, and then it will fill this entire width. So now you'll not see that part that it was not showing again. Let me just pause it. Please ask me questions because I think I've confused you guys a little bit. Just ask me questions where you're lost so that I'll not just be speaking. Position, the position, repeat, display size. This element, please, where you don't understand, ask me a question. Now let me help you out. Are we together?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
However,
sir,
go on. I think you wanted to speak.
okay, sir. So I'm saying that the speed at which you are going is not something we can even try practicing alongside while you are teaching. So
Yeah, yes.
I think you are very fast.
Okay, I'm fast.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Okay, so you can mute. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to explain it the way it's flowing. So sorry about that. All right. So that I don't want to forget some things. Like this one now, I even forgot to mention this guy. You see this place called image resolution. Please always keep it at full. In case you don't see, in case it goes to any place, always leave it at full. Okay. So I'll try to make this recording available, Sha. But try to understand the concepts of the background, whatever. Do you get? So if this image was a PNG, remember that this image has a background on its own. This image, look at it, it has a background. But if it was only this globe, then what we would have done is that we want to make it to be covered. It will not be this big. Do you get it? It will not be this big. All right. So that is it. So let me see other display size option that can work with what you are doing. Content doesn't work. Custom. Custom is like, how do you want the width to be? Most of them I use custom, but at this point, custom will not work very well. Okay. So that is it. And you can now come to background overlay like we did already. We give it a gradient, but you can always increase it. So that it will just be the background will just be faded and then the text is readable. You're not trying to confuse your users. Okay. So now I don't know if you've understood how we achieve this background. Let me collapse this before I go further. This simple thing that we just did now, it will be easier when you start doing it again and again. It will be faster for you, but I have to explain it. Okay. So this text is too long. So the best place to break your text is going to advanced, then go to width in advanced, change from default to full width. Sorry, to custom. Sorry about that. Use custom, please. Then you now drag it the way you want. All right. So you can now drag. Is my screen still showing?
Yes, sir.
So there is no rule on which width size to use. No. But let me show you the rule that you have to keep in mind. Number one is that when you are on your desktop view, you're likely going to use pixels. Why? Because if you use pixels is going to respect the authority that you give it here. So any screen that you're going to open this thing, it will remain like this. Let me collapse this. If I open it on another laptop, it will be like this. But the downside about pixel is that it's always limited to 1000. That means it doesn't give us enough room. So most times I use percent. So if I use percent, you see that even if I do it to the end, see, it will follow me to the end. So that is the downside of it. But then the best practice is that use percent. Okay. The best practice for me, I'll tell you for now, is use percent and then monitor what you're doing. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to make sure that this text is not too long and not too short. Multi-currency transaction at the speed of business. Let me see how they broke down. They used 2 lines. Am I correct? They used 2 lines and then they made it to be big. So that means we have a problem with our own. Our own is small. Okay. So we'll make our own to be 93 and then increase the size 92. Jesus, it's too big. So let's leave it like that and let's collapse to see. So it's taking 3 lines. We want to take 2 lines. So what we can do is we'll have to reduce the text size, see that's the case. 71. Then I want this at to enter this second line. The way it's stained is very bad. Okay, it's like an orphan text, is how they call it. So I'll make it to enter the next line. I'll just increase the size. It will break and enter the next line. Let me see. Yes. All right. So this is better. And then under still typography, there are different things we can do in typography. So we have weight. Okay, we talked about this. You can use bold, medium, depending on what you want to do. I choose bold. Okay. Transform, uppercase. You want all the text to be capital letters. It is here. Okay. If you want it to be capitalized, that is caps, the first text to be capital letter. You now use this one. Then style, italic, depending on what you want to do. So I'll just leave it as normal. Decoration, do you want to underline it? So just what you want to achieve. The line height. So you use this to always separate your text. You see the way I just use it to separate the text. By default, it might be too close. Okay, the way it was that time. But if you use your line height to give it some breathing space, right? The letter spacing, you might not really need this, but just based on what you're doing, just, you see, so letter spacing is just giving it some gap between the letters, and then word spacing, the same thing. So I don't really need all those ones. So I think I'm okay with what I have. And that is it. Then you now bring in other text. Let me see other text that we have. Manage global currencies. So I'm I'm going to copy this and bring it here. So to put in your, this is your body text. So now put in your, this is your heading text. Sorry, this is your heading text. So now put in your body text. Click on the plus icon to add your widgets. Scroll down, you see text editor. Just drag it and put. You see? So select all and then paste it. Then you can now come and style it. So for my body text, I like using poppins. I can give it a size of 17. Center, white color. Then width, custom width. You see the width is too long. Let me show you. The width is too long is not good for reading. You get, so custom width to break it the way I want. So I'll look at this. This is perfect. You see? And then our buttons. So to achieve, they have two buttons. Let me show you guys. So they have, we are going to do this one. We are going to do this one, but not today. Why I'm saying not today is because our time is almost up. So this place alone, we are supposed to stop by 9:30. This place alone is, I'm going to just show you how to achieve it, sharp. You get, so it's not a big deal. But I need to explain it for you to understand, so it will take some time. So they have two buttons here. Okay, this is not like, it's not a button, sorry, this is a form. This is like a form. Enter your email address to get started. So it's a form. And then, if you are using Elementor Pro, I've shown you how to do this. For example, which website? I don't remember the website to show you guys now. But you can do this with Elementor Pro. The free version does not allow you to use their form. So this is a form fill and a button, very simple. And then you style it. So in our own case, we'll have to be creative by doing what? Giving it two buttons. Okay. So I'll just put in, I don't know if you can see my screen up. I'll put in my container, drag it and put here. Then click the plus button again and then look for buttons. Look at it here. Don't even go far. Click it and put. And then since it is two buttons, I'll always recommend style one before you duplicate. You get, but let me just duplicate this, Ctrl D to duplicate it. And then the container direction, I'll change it to horizontal so that these buttons will go this way. And then the contents should justify to the center. So you see, so we now have our buttons in the center ready. So you now have to style it. So these are your style buttons. So before you start, you give it the contents, the right top, let's say, learn more. So you go to style and then you give it a text color of white, background type, look at it here. If you want to use a gradient, you can still use, but just keep it simple. Color can be, let me see if that default color will work. Primary color, no, to not work. So instead of that, we are going to make the primary color should be white for the button. Then the text color will now be the primary color. Those of you following me. And then border radius, you want it to curve. This way you do it 11. You see? Don't make it to be too much. Padding is the gap in between. If I make it 0, you see that there is no breathing space in that text again. Everything is touching each other. If I make it 20, you see, that guy is going to have some space. All right, so the best thing to do is just to, you can keep it at 15. Then you now come to position and make it to stretch. So what's the beauty of this stretch is that if I go to advanced and then go to width, remember that custom width that we did in the text, it's still in all the elements. So if I come to custom width and increase the size, it will follow me. That is the beauty of always using stretch for your position. This guy, you get. So these things are things that even on your own free time, just play around it and you master them. Okay, and then I can increase this padding to 18. Okay, so now what makes a button is the interactivity.
The stretch, is it only for the buttons? The stretch you are talking about?
Yes. It's only works on buttons. So if I make it to be center, you see, if I make it to be stretched, it gives me that freedom to use the custom width to make it the way I want. So now this button does not have any interactivity. So go to under style, you see normal, you see hover. So the hover is that interaction. What do you want to show when people hover on it? Okay, so I'll say let the text color be white, and then if I hover now, you see what I'm saying. See the text color has changed to white. Then let the background type still be classic, and then the color should be. Let's check that our default color. Though I'll change it. I'll change it to something a little bit lighter. So if I hover on it, this is what we now have. You see. Let me see this. Look, come down. Better. So this interactivity gives it that uniqueness of a color of a button. So you can always style your button text. Go to under style, go to typography, and then give it call it poppins, and then I can give it a size of 15 or 16. 16, yep. Sometimes I can use 15. Your button should not be your button text shouldn't be too much. Between 16 and 15 is really perfect. So I'll add this style so that I'll not be doing it again and again. I'll just add it and call it, I can call it button style. So anytime I want to use this same attribute for any other place, I'll just click on it for my typography. So that is it. So now that I've started this one, I can now delete this one, like I told you earlier. Delete that one and then duplicate this one, Control D, or just right click and you see duplicates, or just Control D and then you see it. So you need to have primary and secondary buttons, right? So they shouldn't have the same style. So this one now is a secondary button. So I can give it a different style. Under style, I'll give it on the normal color. I'll now use this hover. Let me just copy it. This hover color will now be my normal color. Copy it to normal. Let me paste it here. Sorry, background. Paste it here. Then my text should now be white. So that to come out. Remember the law of contrast. So now if I hover, you see that nothing will change because we almost did the same thing. So we now come to hover, now change things. But like doing the opposite of this guy, that's the easy thing to just say. The opposite of what we have is what I'm doing here. So over here, I'll now give it background, white. The text can now be the primary. So if I hover on it, to now change. So let me expand this for you to see. Okay. So the secondary button can be maybe go to content and change right up. I can say, what should I even say? So learn more. Let me even check. Okay, that one was a form. Okay, let me use create accounts. Create accounts. Okay. So I can give these buttons some width to make it more longer. Just click on the advanced. Remember the custom width that we set earlier. Just make it longer, 16. So this is 16. I'll also click on this one. Come here and make it 16. So it will balance. Yep. So I think we should also increase the heights. Padding. Go to style. The top. Oh, let me leave it at 19. This one also 19. So let me publish my work and let's see what we've done so far. Okay, so do you have any questions so far? This is what we've been able to do in today's class. Whoa. So one thing about, let me come to the core screen. So one thing about design is that there is no like endpoint. Like the way I work, this thing that I've done now, tomorrow I can change. If it's not nice, I can change this layout, I can change this structure, I can change this color. Do you understand? So if you're working on a live project, even if you use 3 hours to do one section, if it's not nice, maybe after sleeping and wake up as a creative, you look at it again, it's not, maybe you got inspired for something better. Please try to just take out time to do it, to do that new flow. You can duplicate this one and keep, you get, but you just have to be creative. You need to have that energy to always go for excellence. Do you understand? Yeah, because there are some layout that I spend some hours to come up with it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't bring that spark, doesn't communicate well. Do you understand? So I just change it. Because at the end of the day, your clients will not know how long you take. They care about, does it look nice? Does it solve their problem? If you tell them that you use 3 hours, it doesn't make sense to them. That's why you're paid after all. Even when you're posting online, people don't care how many hours that it takes, do you understand, to achieve a particular thing. What they care is the result. So always have that energy to always do more, okay? In case you see a better output than you want. So that's the end of today's class. So I'm open for questions and questions. I know it's been a long class, kind of. That's why I had to record today's Zoom. Any question?
Okay, sir, please can you share the background with us so that we can maybe try something, whether we can get the same thing you've done so far?
Okay, I'll send the background image in the group. I would have sent the documents. I downloaded. I didn't really just sit down. I stole some of this stuff using some techniques. You get how to just find the source code and download some of them. But the main thing is, I'll send it to you, Sha. But the main thing is, as you're learning, try to do this in your own project. Remember that each of you have your own project that you're going to submit at the end of this cohort. So what you're going to do is that you can do is use this idea to now build in your own projects. You can even use this one to start doing a section in your project. Then maybe you can now change the write-up or whatever. Do you get? Everybody has a project that they have to submit. So you use it to build your own project. But I'll share this background to you. I'll share the background to you. And if you have any questions, you can just let me know. Okay. So in the absence of any questions, then we are done for today's class. Let me end the recording.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, and see you in the group. Sanikat,
Thank you very much.
Sanikat. I can't pronounce your
Sakina. Just say Sakina. Sakina is fine.
I'm sorry.
Sakina.
Saki. All right. Yeah, don't message me on WhatsApp, please. Send me a message on WhatsApp. Just give me a hi on WhatsApp this evening. The three of you that are in this class, yeah, the three of you that join this call, please send me a message on WhatsApp this evening. I might reply in 30 minutes time because I want to do something, but just send me a message. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right.